Everyone, welcome to my podcast, Finding Elle. This is the first episode I've ever done, and I swear to God, if this doesn't get any easier, I'm gonna cry. This feels so awkward. I'm in a public area. I've got a flipping microphone in my hand, camera out. I don't know what I feel, but here we are with the first episode of Finding Elle. So on today's episode, we are going to talk about So Are You an Adult Now? And I know that feels very like familiar, I think, with a lot of people in terms of like we're in our 20s, we're labeled as an adult, but we don't really feel like an adult. Like I don't anyways. Like I'm literally 22. You get labeled as an adult when you're 18, and I don't know why I feel like that is so young. Because for me, when I was 18, I was still a kid. I still am a kid now, but like let alone being 18, I feel like I was still a kid. I think, like I said, like having this label of being an adult comes with a lot of pressures, a lot of responsibilities when I feel like it really shouldn't. Like, I just loved it when I was a kid, when I was 5 years old, and I literally could not give a shit. Like, to be honest, I could not care less. Like, all I wanted to do was just play with my friends and run around in the playground. All I had to care about was if I had a plaster on my leg. Like, that felt like if you had a plaster on your leg, I'm sorry, I felt like oh my god, everyone's going to ask me questions. Like everyone's going to be like, are you okay? And I love that. Like I was such an attention whore when I was a kid. And I think that's quite normal as well. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. I'm just trying to back myself here because I hope that is quite normal. The ideas that I have in my head about being an adult is being married, you know, having kids, everything that your little younger self, that made sense, didn't it? Your younger self wanted you to be. That's how I imagine being an adult. But when you are an adult, you're like, oh wait, shit, like this is different to how I was meant to be an adult. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that made any sense, but I mean in the sense of like when I was a kid, I thought I'd literally like I'd marry my Prince Charming, like I'd find him really young, and then happy days. Do you know what I mean? But I'm single. That's another topic to talk about, and it's ridiculous. I cannot find anyone, and that's okay. Like I'm okay with being single, but it's not the dream that little 5 year old me wanted. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not mad about that. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, you're not living the life because I am living life. It's just not what your younger self like perceives it to be. Is that even a word? I don't know. Also, when you're 18, I think that's college. I'm pretty sure I turned 18 in college. Well, I did anyways. And it's always like the idea of like, do I get a job? Do I go traveling? Or do I go to uni or whatever else you might think? And I feel like that is a lot of pressure in itself to feel like, oh my God, I've got to do something for my future. And like, I feel like me specifically, I'm always thinking about my future. I'm always thinking about, oh, how will this affect my future? When really I need to really, really enjoy now. Like, I'm at uni and I'm trying my best just to enjoy being at uni rather than thinking about, oh, is this even the right course to do? If you don't know, I'm doing TV productions. Um, and I want to go into the media industry, but it's a very, very competitive and hard industry to get into, which, you know what, I'm here for it. I'm here for a bit of competition, but going off topic, I think I'm going to go traveling. Who said that? Yeah, I'm going to go traveling. Everyone my age right now, I go onto Instagram and everyone's traveling, and I'm just like, I want to do the same. But like, yeah, I feel like the pressure of just trying to figure out what you want to do in the future and like having this pressure now that you have to do that now is like very normal, but like why is that normal? Like I think everyone just like I don't know if it's social media, okay? I don't know if it's social media, but I feel like social media also puts this like image of how we should live our adult life. Like don't get me wrong, there's a lot of positive things on social media, but there's also a lot of negatives. I think social media definitely perceives an adult as like having your life put together when really that's not the case. And obviously I know there's a couple of like influencers out there who show you like that you don't have to have your life put together, and I love those influencers. Like give me more because like I don't have my life together. Like I just came from a lecture and I left 20 minutes early because I just couldn't be in the room, and for me, telling my 18-year-old self that, I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, you haven't got out of the fact that you can't stay in a room with a group of people for longer than like half an hour. And I'm like, no, I actually still can't. Like, there's still stuff that I do now that I did even when I was a kid. I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. And I feel like a lot of people in their 20s feel the same. Like, I'm going on social media, so to go back to social media, but I'm on social media like TikTok or Instagram, and there's a lot of people saying like what it's really like to be in your 20s. And they're raw videos of like, it's okay if you aren't going on like a 10K run. It's okay if like your meals don't look like, the Instagram meals. It's okay if like you actually don't know what you're doing. Like, it's okay if you haven't got a job that you enjoy, but you're like, you want to like change your jobs. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's definitely become a lot more acceptable to not know what you're doing, whereas like in the past, I don't know, I can't speak for my mum and dad, but I feel like in their generation they were definitely set on coming out of school and getting a job, whereas I feel like that's so different now. I feel like now everyone's thinking of like doing something they actually enjoy, and I love that, because it is a phrase my dad says and I actually will stand by it. He goes, you're here once but dead forever. And I know that is so deep, but it's so true and keeps me going, because it's like, shit, like one day I will die. And I know that's deep, but why am I not enjoying myself? Like, if I was to get a job, why would it be something that I'm not enjoying when I'm only going to be here once, you know? And I'm definitely here for the people who want a job because of money or because of other situations, but I really just need to get a job that I enjoy. Otherwise, I feel like I will be so sad, which I think is very, very, very normal. Again, very normal. But I don't know. Everyone has different perceptions of like what they want to do in life and like where they need to go and stuff. But I'm just generally a person who doesn't put a lot of pressure, if I can, on my future, and try and focus on the now. I think is the most important thing you can do. Let's talk about money. Yeah, we're going there. We're going there. Money is so difficult when you're at uni. Like, I never knew how hard it was. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity though to go to uni, because it has made me grow up a little bit, because of the fact that like I need to like budget myself to like live, and that is obviously part of living anyways, but I never did that at home, because I'm grateful to have a family that like provided for me and looked after me and things like that, and I still do now. But being at uni makes you like have that next step forward into what I believe is adulthood, which I don't think I would have had. Not saying like if you don't go to uni you won't be an adult, like I'm not saying that at all, but for me personally I think it was definitely the right step to being a bit more independent and a bit more like um kind of like preparing to like live on my own or to do things on my own, and yeah, just become a lot more independent. But anyways, going with money, like it can be so hard also to find a job. Like, before I had the job I have now, I was on LinkedIn every day, and sometimes it just wouldn't even reply. Like, I don't know what it was, but they just wouldn't reply. And I just think, why have you put a post up if you're not going to reply? I get you're busy, but girl, just reply. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. That's a bit bitchy of me, but here we are. I feel like also, I keep saying this word, but the pressure of money, like to save, to have a good future, to have like, to enjoy your life. Money, I know, right, I'm going to say this now. People say that money doesn't bring you happiness. I generally think it does. When I've been broke, I can't do much. But that sounds like I'm being really fucking what's the word? Like a Tory. Like I sound like a Tory, but like I mean it in terms of like what do I mean it like? Like, I say I've been broke, but I've been grateful for like living under a house and everything like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying like I've been broke, like really bad, but I'm just saying it in the fact that like for me, I have this pressure that I need to make loads of money for my future in order to enjoy it. Which again, I need to go back to like the now and just enjoy now. Like, it's so annoying that I have this like whole thing that I need to like do things now for my future. Which yes, I agree to an extent. Like I do agree that like you can't exactly map out your future because things happen and you don't know like what's around the corner, and that's so scary actually. But it's more like I would say I would try and save money. I haven't saved anything, to be honest with you. It's really difficult when you want to have fun, you know? And I think that's, again, I keep saying it, but it's so normal. Like, it's so normal to want to have fun, especially me. I've got really big FOMO. I want to do everything. Like, even if, like, the girls in my house are saying, oh, can we go for a coffee? And I've got £2 in my account, I will go for just a glass of water. Like, I'm just that person who just, I just want to have fun whilst I'm this age. Um, yeah, I don't even know what I say now. You're gonna get a lot of this where I'll forget what I say. So I hope you enjoy. um, Also, another pressure of being an adult is getting a house, getting married, or having kids. I think that is such a big pressure. For me personally, I'm single and I'm like, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life and I'm not going to have that opportunity to get married or like. But then I also need to go back and take a step back and be like, look, Elle, like if that is the case, it doesn't matter. Like I don't know why it's such a big thing. Like obviously I want to have a partner and I want to like grow up and have kids and things like that, but at the same time I can do that whilst being on my own. Like I can have a kid, um like I can adopt a kid if I want to, like there's ways around it. It's just like when you see everyone else like maybe like having a life that you want, it can be really hard not to take that upon yourself and think it's your fault. I think that's what I do a lot. Like my best friend, she just got engaged not that long ago, and I was like, what the hell, I swear we're just five and we were just like playing like Barbies. No, like what happened? Like when did this happen? Like I feel like this is the era where we're starting to adult, and I don't know how to explain it other than the fact that I don't feel like an adult right now, but I feel like from your 20s to your 30s you're transitioning into that adulthood. um and I hear a lot of people say that your 20s can be the hardest times because you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to figure yourself out, you're trying to find like what dream you want, your goals, your job, your like anything really. You're just trying to figure it out. And also being so aware now because we are labeled as adults and like we have social media, being so aware of like what's to come, or being so aware of like, I don't know, just like the pressures of things. Like I feel like that can be really scary because it's like, oh, should I, like I feel like it's so easy to compare yourself on a timeline, and it's so easy to be like, oh, I should be here because they're there. Like they're there, what the hell? It's like, oh, they've been engaged. Like should I be getting engaged when that should be thrown out the window because you're living a completely different life from them. And I think that needs to be embedded not just to you guys, but to me. Like I need to embed it that like everyone lives a different life and that's okay. Everyone has a different timeline. Everyone does things in different ways, like different timings, and it's just learning that your time will come when it's right. And I know that's cringy and really annoying, but you need to just hold on to the hope that your life will be okay. Like if just focus on the now. I can't stress it enough, but focus on the now and just like appreciate everything now. Um because I feel like we don't do that a lot. I feel like there's so much with the idea of like wanting this perfect future that we forget to live in the now. And that does come down to, I think, being labeled as an adult, because when you're a kid you don't really know that much about the world, but then obviously when you grow up you learn more about the world and how bad it is and things like that. Yeah, I feel like being in your 20s is a topic that's become very big. Like it's got a lot of attention because a lot of people can relate to it, because obviously everyone goes through being 20 and onwards. um but I don't know if it was necessarily like so big when like my mum and dad were growing up, or like even when my older cousins were growing up. I don't know if this pressure of being in your 20s was so big, or if it was, but we obviously didn't see it because social media wasn't so big back then. Like I get scared sometimes. It's like, are we making 20s as scary as it should, as it like, are we making it too scary because of like how everyone's like perceiving it on TikTok, or is it actually scary? Like obviously I'm going through it right now and it is a little bit scary, but like also like I feel like people need to calm down and realize you're okay, you know? I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, going on to a bit about like comparing yourself to others. Um this is actually something I'm going to be talking about in the next episode, about comparing yourself to others. But in terms of being an adult, I've said about the timeline thing, and I think that is definitely something a lot of people compare themselves, is like comparing themselves to others in terms of like how to be an adult, when there isn't really a written out thing of how to live your 20s, or how to like, be like, obviously there's books out there to be successful and to do this and to do that, but also there's not really a book to show you that it's okay if you're struggling in your 20s, which maybe I could do. Maybe is that a next thing I could do? One thing you're going to get to know as well, I do a lot of things and then get bored. I don't know what it is, but I've had multiple things go. I've got like 6 Instagram accounts because I tried to be a food guru. I tried to like sell cards and like make cards. I tried to sell bikinis, like, and I don't know if that's again trying to be like an adult, like trying to figure myself out, which I'm not really mad about because obviously those things didn't work, but they did help me in terms of like I can do things on my own, which I think is so important to know that, like, say if you're in a job and you don't like right now and you want to get out of it, don't take that as like every job is going to be bad. I know you're going to believe that because you're in a job that you absolutely hate, but that doesn't mean that something's around the corner for you, you know? Um, I just think, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like being in your 20s is very strange, and you can really easily compare yourself to a lot of people, because you want to live a good life, obviously. You want to live like, you want to live in your 20s as good as you possibly can. And obviously, you're going to compare yourself to others. If they're happy, you're going to think, oh, I need to do that to be happy, when that's not the case. Like, you can find how to be happy in your 20s from little things. Like, for me personally, doing this podcast actually makes me feel really happy because I used to do YouTube back in like 2020, and I found it really fun and enjoyable. And if that's what makes me happy, I'm going to carry on doing it. And it's just little things like that. Or like for me, going to like a little coffee shop with my friends, that's another thing that I find that makes me happy. Like, with all these pressures in the world of being an adult, I think it's so important to find the little things that make you happy, just so that you know, and that you can spark your brain into thinking like, oh, like there is good things about being in your 20s, because obviously, like, it's so easy to just be like trapped in this bubble of, oh, your 20s is bad, when, yeah, it's hard, don't get me wrong, but there's little bits in it that make it just that little bit easier, and it's so important to just try and find what that thing is. um but yeah, I hope you've enjoyed my episode. I don't really know what I've talked about, to be honest with you. I'm a bit scared to edit this because I feel like I've either repeated myself or I've actually talked about something that doesn't make sense. But you know what? This is the first episode. It's completely fine. We're going to see how it goes. I can't really wait to, like, carry on doing this. I'm going to bring some people on. I'm going to bring my friends in on different episodes. So I hope you enjoyed that because that'll be really exciting. Um, but yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time on Finding Elle for a podcast all about comparing and contrasting, which will be a very interesting because I do that a lot. So yeah, how do I end this? I don't know how to end a podcast. Like, bye, or see you later, or see you never. Like, what do I do? Like, okay, bye.